Okay, somehow I turned off the recording, but we're back online here. So let's go through it real quick. Up by my kitchen door, I've planted herbs so that they're right by the kitchen. And I've got cilantro, which is actually going to seed and going to be coriander. You can see some more of it right here. And then we've got basil, cilantro, like I said, and even thyme right in there. It's not doing so hot. I think it's getting shaded by the pepper plants. Or not thyme, this is rosemary. So I'm going to take a cutting of it and root it and get it going somewhere else. The birds are starting to get loud out here, so you have to bear with me. This is a marigold bush, and you know, I thought that it's my first year growing marigolds, and I was under the assumption that they'd stay pretty small. You just grow them amongst your tomatoes, but like, they're huge plants. You can get dwarf varieties, which I have some of those, and they do better, but I guess be advised, marigolds can get just absolutely huge. I'm gonna have to cut that back. So, just a quick summary, because I don't know when my recording actually shut off, but I've got a bunch of marigolds mixed in with like 5 or 6 pepper plants. I believe this is Jimmy Nardello pepper, and it's getting shaded out by this marigold. I'm gonna have to cut this marigold back. Here's another pepper plant just lost in the mix of the marigold. Here's another one growing under the shoulder of the marigold. So a row of pepper plants, a row of 6 tomato plants along the back, a bunch of herbs, and even things like bok choy and turnips that are going to seed in here, and I'm going to collect the seeds. Okay, some of that is going to be like mix and moshed because my camera stopped recording and I don't know when. Over here I've got a little pot of beets. I don't know what I'm doing with beets. This is my first year growing beets, and so I'm just going to yank one out right quick. By golly, I think that's a beet. And you can eat the greens. These greens look really good. I've tried a couple of them. They are really good. So I'm going to be eating all of the beets and all of the greens. So that's a whole pot of edible and delicious. And then over here is my first raised garden bed that I've ever built. I filled it with clay, my native clay. I just dug a hole near my retaining wall where I needed drainage, and I used all of that to fill this bed. That was last fall, and since then I've been just top dressing with manure and worm castings that I make here. And so in here I have some of the, I believe these are double dwarf French marigolds. And so these ones are staying pretty small, and I like that. So I'm gonna stick to the dwarf varieties of marigolds for flowers that I grow in my garden beds to attract the beneficial insects. But you can see I've got, this is another cilantro that's going to seed, and it's just humongously tall and it's overshadowing my peppers. But I planted my last few cilantro seeds this year, and so I've really got to let it go to seed so that I can harvest the coriander, which are cilantro seeds, and have the coriander for my next crop and for future years to come. This bed is mainly a pepper bed, but I've still got some leftovers like a bolting lettuce that I'm going to go ahead and tear out of there. That's doing nobody any good. I just want to twist it out. I'm kind of going for like a no-dig Charles Dowdig approach. Perfect. I left the taproot in the soil to rot and create tilth for me. That will go in the compost, or I'll feed it to the worms. But you can see I got some Swiss chard left in here from earlier. And one thing I wanted to mention with this bed that worked out really good this year, look at the dill. Its flowers look like fireworks or something. It's so awesome. So the dill is going to seed also. And here's what it looks like before it goes to seed. So it's a pretty plant. It's got like these beautiful fronds, almost like a fern or something. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, the thing that worked out really good in here. I did, over the winter, some daikon radishes, and I just planted them into the soil. I'm going to talk to you guys directly and see how this works. I planted the daikon radishes into the soil to overwinter so that there's no exposed soil. You really don't want soil just exposed. You'd want something growing in it or a mulch covering it, because exposed soil is no good. When it comes planting time, you'd just rather scoot your mulch aside and then plant into it. That way you have to deal with less weeds, and the soil health will be better if your soil is not exposed. So anyway, I covered this whole bed in daikon radishes before the winter. They didn't do so great, but in the springtime, when I planted everything out, I didn't remove all of them. I left a few of the daikons to go to seed, and it worked out great because they worked as an awesome trap crop. They were covered in aphids, and then the ants came in to protect the aphids. The ladybugs have already come in and wiped out all the aphids. So there has been just so much biological activity in here, and the pest pressure hasn't been too bad. Although now I'm seeing there's something going on with this pepper plant. That looks like it might be slug damage. I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments section. But yeah, that sucker's probably just not getting sunlight either. But that's okay. I have a lot of peppers in there as like an insurance policy. Yeah, something's tearing me up. So I will have to address that. And it might be slugs. It's not little holes like flea beetles. So I don't know what that is. I will maybe have to check at night. Oh, here's another beet that I'm going to take out right now, because we're going to harvest all the beets today and go ahead and process them down. I'm going to leave as much of that native soil in there as I can and take a look at it. Oh, so that beet must have been a transplant. I can tell by the perlite that was not directly sown. I'm slowly going to convert that bed to some more usable soil. Like I said, I just filled it with clay just to be cheap, because that's who I am. Let's see if I got to cover anything else over here. It looks like this is daikon radish. So this is one of my leftover radishes that's going to seed. Look at those. I guess that's going to be how they reproduce. There must be a seed in there or something. So I don't know if anybody on here knows, can I cut this plant and hang it to dry now, and will these be viable, or do I got to leave it here and taking up all this room? The birds are really loud right now. One thing I wanted to mention was my Jimmy Nardello's over here, and also this is my first black Hungarian pepper. The pepper is actually black. The flowers, they come in purple. That one's not really open, but when they're fully open, they're beautiful purple flowers. So the black Hungarian pepper plant from Baker Creek Seeds is pretty cool. Okay, over here, this one is the most recently planted bed. This one I filled up with like a bunch of forest materials that I found. I've been mowing this one area of all these like leaves and fallen sticks and stuff. I just mow over it every year for like the past 6 years, and it's become its own little compost. So I filled that bed with this, and then I topped it off with a little cap of clay to keep everything in place, like less than 10% clay in here though. So let's go ahead and dig down and see how this soil's looking. There's that cap of clay, but you can actually dig into it with my hand and then get down to like a browner forest material. So I'm happy with that. Kind of like a lasagna so far, but it will homogenize like as I grow plants in it. But over here is cucumbers to grow up this trellis, even over this little arch. I'm doing everything cheap with just materials that I have laying around. And on the back, 6 cucumbers to grow up this trellis, and then a bunch of zucchini plants. Something's tearing me up here. Oh, that's going to be a cucumber beetle, isn't it? Or a lady beetle. That I can tell. I don't think he's a friend. He looks like a ladybug, but I don't think he's friendly. So we're going to gather him up. I'm going to give him to my son to identify. Holden, Can I give you this bug to look at? Bring over your bug catcher thing. I want to put him in there so you can look at him and we can identify him later, okay?
Okay, what is that?
Well, I think it's going to be a cucumber beetle or a lady beetle.
It's a lady beetle.
You think it's a lady beetle? I think so too. So why don't you go get your bug catcher and let's put it in there, and then that way we can do some homework later, okay?
I want to...
You don't want to?
No.
Tell you what, give me a container then right out of there. I want to put...
Get a bug catcher.
Hold on. Get me a container. Right out of there with a lid so I can put this bug in there. Now he's gonna go get his bug catcher. He's very resistant right now. He's testing his abilities to say no. You know what? I don't think he's getting it at all. I think he's just leaving me high and dry, and that's fine. I'm not gonna argue with him. But I'm going to just use this video. God, I'm smart. I'll just use this video to help identify him later. But for now, I think that I caught him red-handed chewing. And so he just more than evicted. He was just sentenced to death. Okay, back to it. Sorry. Got distracted by a pest. I have to go through here and see what's going on. So this whole bed's going to be cucurbits over here. And then right here, halfway through the harvest, this is a bunch of it was a mesclun mix that's going to seed. And it got swamped in chickweed. But we've been eating the chickweed right along with it. Just go ahead and harvest it up with the mesclun mix. And about halfway done harvesting this bed. I threw some accidental cabbages in there. It's probably not going to do anything. Over here I've got strawberries again. They're not doing as good over here. This whole area just floods real bad. So these strawberries, they're just not happy. And I just plugged them into native soil. You can see the Swiss chard's doing pretty good though. And then there's probably about 100 onions over here. These are Australian brown intermediate day onions. See, I'm about 13 miles east of St. Louis, and we don't get good onion. I don't know whether to do short day or long day around here. So I'm doing intermediate day. Oh, cool. Morning glory, blooming. What is going on with it though? Does it just need to unravel more? I don't know. Cool, I got a morning glory. Here's my grape. So my dog dug this up because it smelled like me after planting, and he loves sticks. So he dug it up. And I had to replant it several times. It doesn't look like it's doing anything. But then down here I just noticed there's this little offshoot, and it's getting tore up by pests, but I'm just trying. I'm hoping this grape plant comes through. It's a Concord grape. I really hope it comes through. Continuing our walk. Excuse my messy yard. Got a few container plants, some extra pepper plants, and then a Swiss chard. We love Swiss chard. It's a great leafy green to eat. I think I'm going to try to grow Swiss chard all through the year. So here's a pepper plant that must have got eaten by something, and it's almost been uprooted. So that would be a good candidate to fill the spot for that one pepper plant that's not doing so good in the garden bed. Over here I'm converting this area to grow zucchini. So I tore out one little pathway, growing zucchini right through there. If it works good, I'll convert this whole area to a garden bed. Back here against the house, this is kind of like my rain shelter. If any of the plants are too swamped with water and just really need a break from the rain, I throw them over here. Some more pepper plants. I ended up with too many pepper plants this year. Well, I've got a million things going on around here. I've got worms I keep up with, and I've got several compost piles, and there's plants all the way up on that hillside. I have Swiss chard up there. I have cucumbers that I plan on allowing the cucumbers to grow down over the wall here. So I'm doing a lot. So like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, however you do it. Touch my bells and buttons, and I guess before we go, let's look at the blackberries. This is all going to be blackberries. You can see all the blooms. So the blackberries will be hanging over the retaining wall. I've got raspberries over there, more blackberries over there. I'm turning this area, this forested area, which I barely get much light. I only get light coming through here. So I'm under a lot of trees here and trying to make it work. I got potatoes over there, a bunch of lilies, my hostas. Just let me know what you'd like to see if you want to see more of it, but I'm going to do another update in about a month on all of my garden beds. But I figured today would be a good day to get out and try to get some footage, even just for myself, to compare it so that I can learn. You can hear the cicadas coming up. They're making all sorts of noise. I'm wanting this cat to pounce on the other one. I just mowed this grass yesterday. It's mostly grass. Okay. He doesn't like to teach me how to hunt. If he starts finding mice, I'm like, how do you find 12 mice in a day? And I've only found 12 mice in my whole life. And so I try to follow him around for a day, but he refuses to teach me how to hunt. His sister, on the other hand, if she doesn't notice you're watching, she will hunt, but she just likes to play too much. But she is a vicious hunter, and she doesn't mind as much if I watch her hunt. So, anyway, yeah, look at that. It's kind of like heaping over there. The garden is coming in nicely. Okay, we'll see how all this works, and we'll post it to the YouTube.